Yes, you need talk therapy. Yes, you need to use the 5-second rule and interrupt the habit of worrying. And yes, you need to reprogram a different way of talking to yourself. And yes, you need to go and high five the mirror, which by the way is also neck up, because you're taking a physical action that then triggers new programming up here. But it all begins with an alarm in the body. So if you want to heal this, you have to start to go neck down. You need to start to learn how to, in those moments, not be annoyed or scared of the alarm, but to actually turn toward it. So that's number one. Go toward the alarm. Know that it's a call from the little you, needing a moment of reassurance or love. And you'll start to spot it all the time now.
And not needing the reassurance from others, but yourself.
From yourself.
Because if you only rely on others and they don't give it to you when you need it, you're going to feel anxious.
Yeah. Well, think about this. If I were to start to cry right now and tell you that I'm super anxious and something's happened and what would you do?
I would support you and comfort you and give you a hug. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And how would that make me feel amazing?
Yeah.
But we don't do it to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or if you're alone and you don't have that person with you, how do you handle it on your own?
You hug yourself.
No.
Literally take a towel and go like this. It feels like a freaking hug. Put your hands on your heart and take a couple deep breaths and tell yourself what you would tell somebody else. And the alarm disappears because it's not trying to tell you that something's wrong. The alarm of anxiety is telling you that there is something missing right now for you. And what's missing is a feeling of safety and a feeling of like deep connection with self. That's all that's missing. And so when you reframe it as a way to let love in, and that it is a way to let love in from yourself, you start to change the way that your body experiences moments that trigger you from childhood. And so like, I think so much of what I am trying to put out into the world is this notion that everything needs to start with addressing these feelings that we have. Like for me, you want to change your life, there is a very simple formula that's not easy to do. You need to take action before you feel like it. You need to take the actions that the person that has what you really want and deserve in your life, you need to take the same type of actions before you feel like that person. You must act first, period. That's how you change. When it comes to healing your body and when it comes to anxiety, you have to, instead of running away from it or numbing it, because the anxiety feeling is triggering you to grab the alcohol. It's triggering you to get very busy and start running errands, or it's triggering you to turn on the TV or hit the vape pen or hit the joint or whatever. And that feeling could be boredom. It could be a sense of overwhelm. It could be insecurity. Like, because think about what happens. Let's take the example of you're dating and somebody hasn't texted you in a day. They left you unread, like you start to get that wave. The alarm goes off. Because what do you need? You need some love and reassurance. But what we do instead is, you see that you're still unread and you grab the vape pen. That is you dealing with your anxiety in a destructive way. What do? You start scrolling through social media, which makes you insecure. That is you trying to distract yourself or numb or whatever, this uncomfortable feeling that you don't know how to deal with. When really that feeling requires one action. Love. Love from self.
But why is it so hard for so many people to love and accept themselves?
Because when you were a child, love was transactional. You were taught that if you're doing what I want, I love you. We all do it. I did it to my kids too. I didn't mean to. Like we all parent, we try to parent through connection, but we tend to correct our kids a lot. And so you learn that if I'm not doing what you want me to do, then you don't like me right now. You don't love me. And we learn that if we are getting into the right school, or we're getting good grades, or our team is doing well in sports, or we are interested in medicine because dad's interested in medicine, that's how you earn love. And, it's very hard to, with day-to-day life, not do something that fucks your kids up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
even if you're being conscious and healthy and all the right things. Of
course, because you can't read their mind. You can't.
You don't know what they're perceiving and how they take your conversation and what you said, what you didn't say.
Yep. And they are learning by observing and absorbing. And so that means that there are going to be moments where they deeply need a hug and they need a quieter tone of voice. And you've just slammed your laptop shut and you've just yelled out something because of somebody being like a jerk to you at work. And your kid was standing behind you and needed something. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's why we don't actually know how to love ourselves. And the other reason why is kind of biologically speaking, from 0 to 18, like you're not in charge.
Right, your body, the
your
hormones,
freaking survival, dude, is based on your parents. If you want to eat, if you want to, like, you are hardwired to bond with them. And so this is who you're learning from, for better or for worse. And most of us learned that, if mom's not happy, I'm not supposed to be happy. If dad's mad, then I've done something wrong. We do not have within us as children the ability to look at the adults around us and be like, well, they're up and boy, dad must have had a bad day at work. We go, something's wrong with me that they're not home when I get home. Something's wrong with me that she's giving me the silent treatment. What have I done? And so we are trained as kids, for better or for worse, that love is conditional, that if we please other people, we get more of it. If we perform and make other people happy, we get more of it. And so we don't learn that it's unconditional. Mm-hmm. And we don't learn, because that's not how people act. And we don't learn how to truly love ourselves through these ups and downs of lives because our parents weren't taught how to do this for themselves. I mean, if you want to, instead of blaming your parents, look at your grandparents.
Right. And great-grandparents.
And great-grandparents.
It's just been passed down.
Because they're just passing down what they had to put up with. I always find it really interesting that every generation, for example, let's take a non-anxiety, non-relationship, non-family example. Every single generation disrupts the way we work and disrupts what we think about work. If you go back to the 1900s when you would die working in a factory, most people that worked in factories under those conditions were like, well, I survived it. Why do we need safety protocols? Right?
Working in the coal mines.
Yes, and it literally is an upgrade. Now people are like, why do I need to be in an office? Well, we were in an office. It's better for, is it better? I don't know. Yeah. And so I feel too that we are the first generation to talk openly about mental health. I mean, when I was in high school,
couldn't talk about
you were a freak if you had anxiety, which I was, by the way.
Right. But you can't talk about it.
No, there was no self-help section in the bookstore. Do you know what kind of a loser went in there? Mm-hmm. The amount of tools that are available, the self-awareness, the research, the awakening, the fact that people are starting to connect the dots that mental health is everything. Because if you're not a happy person, you will take that into work.
And your relationships.
And your relationships. And on your kids. And this and that. And the other thing. And you're going to make your own life miserable. And so I feel like a lot of the things that we're talking about, it's actually very exciting because we didn't have these tools.
Yes.
People didn't talk openly about this. My mom said something pretty profound the other day. She was kind of like, we were talking about something, I remember, and she goes, I often wonder if I've never experienced anxiety because I won't allow myself to.
We're so used to it now, right?
Yeah, or she's like, there's so much stuff that went down in my past that I don't, why would I want to unpack that?
Right. It's scary to look at.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's painful.
Yes, but I admire this generation that, is like the 20-somethings now. My 17-year-old son, you know what one of the best parts of his life is? His freaking therapist.
Wow.
Why? Because he loves, I said, why do you like Keith so much? He's like, because I like talking to adults and I like having somebody other than you or dad to unpack this stuff with.
And it makes you feel a little bit better.
And so from Dr. Russ Kennedy, one of the things that I learned recently that is just amazing is that all anxiety comes from